Now, that's how to make an entrance. Just rolling in to an autumn top 5 Perfume Parlour video. I'm here in the middle of the Yorkshire Dales. It's just turned autumn, so I'm in a really autumnal mood, and I thought I would give you my top 5 autumnal Perfume Parlour fragrances. I know a lot of people have been requesting more Perfume Parlour videos. I haven't been doing as many as I did because I've just had a lot of fragrances to get through to make videos for. So I just thought I'd start doing a few more Perfume Parlour videos. So this is for you. These are 5 Perfume Parlour fragrances that I just think work really well at this time of year. They're some of my favourites. I'm going to go through all 5 of them. Actually, I'm telling a lie because there are actually 6. One of them is a bit of an honorary mention. So if you don't know, Perfume Parlour are a UK cologne house. I'm a big fan. They got me into fragrance. They got me into niche fragrances. Due to Perfume Parlour, I got the chance to smell a lot of niche fragrances. They're probably the best value. They're certainly the lowest cost, and I think pretty much across the board the quality is very good. Some are closer than others, but these 5 or 6 here are the ones that I think are pretty close and also high quality. So let's get into it. The first one I'm going to mention is one I've talked a lot about if you've seen any of my other Perfume Parlour videos. I think this is one of their best and closest interpretations. It's also one of my all-time favourite scents. It's from the Tom Ford Private Blend. This is raspberry leather, perfect for this time of year. This is an honorary mention for Tuscan Leather. The Perfume Parlour version at the moment is called Italian Rawhide. They've changed the name since I purchased this one, which is actually called Tuscan Leather, just spelt differently. This is a great interpretation. I have the original as well. I bought the original because I really enjoyed this, and you know, I'm collecting the bottles, so I wanted the original fragrance on my shelf. And to me, this one, in terms of its scent, I think it definitely nails the DNA. It's almost there. It's close enough, you know, it's close enough in the air. It smells just the same. Performance, I get, is just as good as the original. So if you are a fan of Tuscan Leather, or you've heard a lot about it and you're interested in trying it, the Perfume Parlour option is a really good way of experiencing that DNA for a really low cost. So this is the honorary mention because I've recently included this in another autumn cologne video that I've done, which I'll link for you up here. So in this video I wanted it to be 5 different fragrances that I hadn't recently mentioned. So Tuscan Leather, honorary mention. Okay, to kick off the first of the top 5 Perfume Parlour fragrances for autumn, I'm going with a house that I'm a massive fan of. I own 2 full bottles of their fragrances, although I don't own a bottle of the interpretation that I'm going to talk to you about in just a second. One of my favourite notes for this time of year is tobacco, and one of my favourite tobacco scents. I have had samples and decants of the original, which is Parfums de Marly's Herod. This is one of the nicest tobacco notes you'll smell. It's got vanilla, it's got incense, and that lovely, smooth, but slightly resinous tobacco. As with all Parfums de Marly fragrances, the performance is just fantastic. The Perfume Parlour interpretation is very good. It certainly gets the Parfums de Marly DNA. I'm including this at number 5 because compared to the other fragrances, I think in terms of the performance, this isn't quite there as much as the original. But Parfums de Marly, I think, use natural ingredients and expensive materials which a cologne company as cheap as Perfume Parlour probably can't recreate. So you get that scent DNA, but you're not quite getting that thick, luxurious quality and the beast mode performance that you get from Parfums de Marly. It's not far off, to be honest. It's not far off. You may have to just reapply this if you wanted it to last longer than 7 or 8 hours, but if you just want to get through 7 or 8 hours, the Perfume Parlour will get you really close to the Herod DNA, and it will give you pretty decent performance, just not quite as good as the original. The next one is the first of 2 fragrances from the house of Nasomatto. I'm a big fan of Nasomatto. I love their fragrances. I think they're on the right side of challenging but wearable, so I find them really interesting. I think they're an interesting niche house. Their fragrances are expensive. You're talking about £125 for 30ml, that is of extrait. That's out of a lot of people's price range, so if you can get a sense of the compositions of how these Nasomatto fragrances smell through a company like Perfume Parlour, then it can give you a good idea as to whether it's a scent you perhaps want to buy a full bottle of. That's exactly what I did. I owned a few Nasomattos from Perfume Parlour before I bought my bottles. One of my favourites from Nasomatto is Pardon, and this is Perfume Parlour's version. At the time I bought this, it was called Pardoned. Like I say, I think they've changed the name. I'm not quite sure what the current name is, but if you go on the website and type in Nasomatto Pardon, it will come up with their interpretation of it. So again, this really gets you close to the Pardon DNA, which is a lovely kind of oud and chocolate accord. I don't think there's oud and chocolate in it. I think it's just a combination of the notes used, which when blended together create the oud and chocolate accord, but it is just beautiful. I mean, who cares what notes are in it? It's just, you know, what the end product smells like. And Pardon is just amazing. It's a good compliment getter. It's interesting to wear. It's a little bit challenging, but this one I've found has got me a few compliments, especially when you're in close proximity to people. I was at a Christmas party a couple of years ago, and I was wearing this, and it was actually the original version. And I was getting compliments. They said, you know, Chris, whatever you're wearing, it smells really nice. So it smells nice, but it smells different. So it draws people in, and people are interested to ask what you're wearing. So this, again, is really close. It's a little smoother, I think, just a little bit. If I'm really being picky, it's a little smoother than the original. I like the fact the original just has a sharper edge to it. That's what I enjoy about Pardon. It's a little bit challenging, and that's what makes it interesting to wear. This is a little bit of a smoother wear. Maybe that would work for some people, but I'm just telling you how close I think it is to the original. Again, performance is just a little way back from the original. Must be something to do with the different materials that Perfume Parlour use, but they get the overall DNA. Performance is still pretty decent. If you want to know what Pardon smells like, then the Perfume Parlour version, I think, is a really nice copy. On to the next one, and a house that I think Perfume Parlour seem to consistently do really well. I've been very impressed with their interpretations from this house is Tom Ford, and I will have a top 10 Perfume Parlour Tom Ford fragrances video coming soon. I am working on the research and compiling everything for that one, but I'm very impressed with how they do Tom Fords. This is one of my favourite Tom Ford fragrances, works just beautifully in the colder months. You might not want to go in the warmer weather or in the summer with this one because it is quite intense. It's Tobacco Oud, and Perfume Parlour's version on the bottle I've got is called Tobacco's Oud, but it will currently be a different name because I've had this now a couple of years. And with Tobacco Oud you get this lovely kind of resinous tobacco, but the fragrance has a sweetness and it has a little bit of a boozy, almost whiskey-like quality. So this just punches through cold weather perfectly. It's empowering, it's bold. This just gives me an extra confidence when I wear this. A lot of people say fragrances are just another accessory. They complement whatever else, you know, how you've done your hair, what clothes you're wearing. A fragrance is just an extension of all those things as well. And a fragrance like Tobacco Oud really does just empower me and give me that confidence. So I really enjoy wearing this. I do have the original as well. I bought the original after smelling this because I wanted my private blend bottles all lined up. And again, I would say this is a little smoother than Tobacco Oud. Tobacco Oud can be a little bit divisive. Some people think it's a little too much, a little too bold. But then some people just absolutely adore it and think it is one of the best ever tobacco fragrances. I'm in that camp. I think it's one of the best ever tobacco fragrances. So the Perfume Parlour version is just smoothed off around the edges. It doesn't have that kind of extra bit of bold attitude that the original has, but it's not far off. In the air, there's not too much of a difference. Again, performance is almost there, but I would say I just get a little bit better performance from the private blend. But then again, you know, you're paying around £150 for a 50ml bottle of that, whereas this is you know, just a few pounds for especially if you get the smaller bottles. I get the smaller ones just to try, and then I will either then purchase the original fragrance in its bottle, or I'll buy a bigger Perfume Parlour version if I'm not wanting to buy the original fragrance at that time. Tobacco Oud is an amazing fragrance by Tom Ford, and I really love Perfume Parlour's version. So I mentioned how much I love the house of Nasomatto. For the next one, we are going back to the house. This is one of the most convincing whiskey, boozy notes you'll smell in a fragrance. This is dreamy, creamy, musky, powerful. I'm talking about Baraonda. Perfume Parlour's version is on my bottle called Baraonda, but just put Baraonda into Perfume Parlour's website, it'll come up with the current name of it because they have changed them recently. Now, this is just such a pleasurable scent to wear. As I said, it's smooth, it's creamy, it feels grown up, but not old mannish. It feels like it's got an assured confidence. Again, it's an empowering fragrance. This fragrance for me is a nice fragrance to wear maybe on a Sunday, maybe a Sunday evening, maybe you're going out for a roast dinner with your friends or with your family. You want to smell nice, but you want to wear something very smooth and pleasing, you know, easy, like how people would feel or like to feel on a Sunday, you know, nice and relaxed, last day of the weekend before work. So Baraonda is just a gorgeous, boozy scent, and Perfume Parlour's version gets really close. I think it gets closer than Pardon does. I do prefer Pardon when it comes to Nasomatto, just a little bit more than Baraonda, but when it comes to the Perfume Parlour versions, I think this is a better version. You can see by how much I've used this. I think the Perfume Parlour version is a closer clone to the Nasomatto than their Pardon clone. If you want to smell musky and sensual and creamy and a little bit boozy, but don't worry, you're not going to smell like you've been drinking alcohol and you've been out the night before and it's that stale alcohol breath. It's not that. It is the smell version of how a lovely Scotch whisky tastes when you take that first sip, especially a nicely blended, smooth, creamy Scotch whisky. Baraonda, beautiful. Okay, so my number one Perfume Parlour for autumn is, it's an absolute stunner. This one is just, it takes me to a different place every time I smell it. I think I bought this was one of my first ones, and I think I have an association with discovering these amazing niche smells for the first time, so this one just takes me back to those times a few years ago. It's another tobacco fragrance. As I said, tobacco works really well in the autumn, and this one I think works the best. I don't own the original bottle. I would like to at some point because it is my favourite from by Kilian. I have had samples, so I have directly compared it to it, and at the time I did a comparison, it was really close. I'm talking about Back to Black. The Perfume Parlour's version, it just seems pretty much on it, you know. I can't really tell a difference in terms of the smell, in terms of the performance, you know, the projection, the longevity. It just seems to match the by Kilian. We've got honey, we've got tobacco. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's got enough punch from the tobacco, but it's not too challenging to wear. It's cozy, it's comforting, but it's also assertive at the same time. So it ticks all these boxes. It does lots of different things. It's multi-layered. You can wear it for lots of different occasions, but personally, if I was going for a night out during the autumn or the winter time, Back to Black is one of the fragrances I would definitely reach for. I've tried to hold back on using this too much since I've had this, but I'm almost done. I'm almost out of this one, and I'm just trying to decide, when I've drained this, do I buy the Perfume Parlour in a bigger bottle or do I buy the original Back to Black? I would love to have a by Kilian fragrance on my shelf. I don't own any yet, but I do love the house from what I've sampled, what I've smelled in store, and from the Perfume Parlour interpretations. Out of all those five, they're all fantastic. I would not be putting ones that weren't so great. Like I said, Perfume Parlour, some are closer than others, and I'm just recommending what I think are the best five for autumn out of my collection. I'm sure there are plenty of other Perfume Parlour scents out there that I don't own that are equally as good as these, but these are the ones in my collection that for me are the top five to wear in the autumn. I just want to say at this point that I'm not sponsored by Perfume Parlour. They don't pay me to make these videos. Every single bottle of Perfume Parlour that I own, I've purchased myself. What I do have with Perfume Parlour is an affiliate link, which you'll find in the description below this video. If you click through that link and make a purchase, I just get a small kickback, which goes straight back into the channel. It helps me keep running the channel, it helps me keep producing the content, and every time someone makes a purchase through that, it really helps support FRAG-MENTAL. So if you have done that, thank you so much. If you haven't already done that and you're thinking of making some purchases from Perfume Parlour, it would really help me and the channel out if you purchased through that link. So you'll find that in the description below the video. Obviously, the fact that I have that link does in no way change my honesty in these videos. I'm going to be 100% honest, keeping it real with you all the time. Okay, so that's it. There are my 5 top Perfume Parlour choices for the autumn. Do you own any of these? Do you own the originals of these? What do you think of my choices? If you've tried them, let me know how close you think they are. Let me know how close they are in the performance. Whatever your experience with any of these scents and with other Perfume Parlour scents that I may not have tried, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Lots of people watch these Perfume Parlour videos, so if you have any experience, if you can share any good information about the house, what's good, what's bad, leave it all in the comments down below, and anyone watching this video will reference those comments, and it just helps people make informed purchases. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the view. I hope you found my explanations of these fragrances useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.